guys, this is Holden, and today I want to do a video I've been meaning to do for a while. I actually did the video, but now I'm redoing it. I've had a lot of people ask me about what is dysphoria, and it's something that I know both personally and because I've read a lot about it, but if you're not trans, you might not know what dysphoria is. So let me give you the basic definition. Dysphoria is a profound state of unease or dissatisfaction. In a psychiatric context, dysphoria may accompany depression, anxiety, or agitation. Common reactions to dysphoria include emotional distress or indifference. The opposite state of mind is known as euphoria. Gender dysphoria is discomfort, unhappiness, or distress due to one's socially accepted gender and the social roles associated with that gender. Gender dysphoria for a lot of people, if you ask any trans person, a lot of people will say it is the sense of being in the wrong body, that your gender and your sex don't mash up. For me, gender dysphoria feels like I'm a little bit out of place. It feels like I'm trapped, or like I can't speak, like I'm mute. The way that I kind of see it, and I don't know if I talked about this in another video, but it's like being in a cage at a zoo with the wrong label. You are a tiger, but your label says wolf. People see you as a wolf, but you know that you're a tiger. When you look in the mirror, you see a wolf. And so you kind of understand why people think that you're a wolf, but you're a tiger. Maybe you try to be a wolf for a while and you try to conform to wolf ways, but you're just not, and it feels wrong and it makes you unhappy, and that's what dysphoria is like. Dysphoria can be caused by many things, so many things in life. I'm only going to speak from my own experience because that's what I have, but I feel dysphoric about my breasts, which is why I bind them, and I solve a little bit of that dysphoria through binding. Another thing that I feel dysphoric about is my voice, because it's a little bit higher than I would like it to be. It doesn't feel like my voice, and when my voice is really low, like when I wake up in the morning, or like if I'm singing something really low, or like I'm singing really chesty, blah, 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 it feels better, and it feels more like myself. Another thing that makes me dysphoric, now that I've started using male pronouns and my new name, something that makes me dysphoric is when someone misgenders me and uses female pronouns or uses my old name. It doesn't happen so often anymore, but when it does, it's kind of a shock. I'm kind of like, oh, someone still sees me that way, and I kind of forgot about it. And so that causes some dysphoria for me sometimes. There's so many things that can cause dysphoria for anybody. Everybody has their things. Some people feel about certain things more strongly, and some people don't care about certain things. Some people like don't have any dysphoria over their breasts or chest. A lot of people have dysphoria over their genitalia, and some people don't. It really depends on the person. As I was doing some research for this video, I found this really, really good list of indirect symptoms for gender dysphoria. This list is really good, and this is what most trans people will be able to relate to regardless of their experience. One, simply getting through the day. Sometimes it's just hard to wake up in the morning when you know that you don't feel right. Just leaving the house is really hard sometimes. I'm able to leave the house because I sort of force myself, but there's some days where it's just like, man, I have to put on my binder again. Oh, I have to like act masculine again to present to society, and it gets really tiring. Number two, sense of disconnect with your own emotions. This makes sense to me because sometimes I just have a lot of feelings and I don't know where they come from. If you don't like realize that what you're feeling is dysphoria, it can be seemingly insurmountable, because most people are sort of able to be like, oh, I'm feeling sad because of this. But like, if you're feeling dysphoric, you're just like, I'm feeling sad for absolutely no reason, which It's also associated with depression, and dysphoria and depression are different, but dysphoria can lead to depression as well, and vice versa. Number 3, feeling of reading from a script. I can really relate to this because I went through this one phase where I tried to be as feminine as possible. I just wore dresses and I would put on makeup and stuff like that. And it was kind of fun because I like acting, and also I'm not a super masculine person anyway. So it was kind of fun, but it was like I was playing a part. I wasn't being myself at all. I was trying really hard to be female. I remember even while I was growing up, I was like, wow, how do people know how to be female? Like, how do people just do that? How do you know? I had no idea. It did not come naturally to me, so I had to sort of learn how to act. And that worked for a while, and then it didn't. Number 4, sense of pointlessness. I think this is very relatable for most trans people because you just kind of give up hope after a while. It's just like, well, what can I do about anything? Number 5, knowing that you're different but wishing you were normal. In the article, which I'll put in the links in the video, mentions this constant voice that's going off in your head that just doesn't stop. You have to always overthink what you're doing. You have to always be like, oh, is this the right way to act? Am I being too masculine? Am I being too feminine or something like that? And it just doesn't stop. Other people are just able to be, and you feel like you're always thinking about what that even means. And I'm been feeling this way recently as well because I've just been thinking about trans stuff constantly. And how annoying is that? It's like there's so many things in life that you can think about, like global warming, world hunger, world peace, learning languages, so many things that I would love to think about. Some things I wouldn't like to think about also. But it would be nice to not think about my own gender identity all of the time. It starts feeling a little bit self-centered. It's just annoying. And I also can tell it's like annoying for other people as well, occasionally, where I'll just be like talking about trans stuff, or I'll be thinking about trans stuff and not even talking about it. And it's just like, I don't have anything to add to a conversation because I'm just like trans. So then it's kind of like an extra disconnect with other people because you're like, I don't have anything to add. It's not about gender. Number 6 in the article is notable escalation in puberty. I don't have any experience with that, but I would love to hear from other trans people who did experience some dysphoria in puberty. I think that would be interesting. So please leave comments about that if you can. Number 7, attempting to fix with various coping mechanisms. This varies from trans person to trans person, but a lot of trans people disproportionately get into heavy drug use and heavy alcohol consumption because they're trying to cope with their dysphoria. You'll hear this very often, and that's why there are also so many suicides amongst trans people, because they are just trying to find a way to cope with their feelings, and they feel like they have no other options. Another thing that personally I dealt with is I was feeling dysphoric, but I didn't know I was feeling dysphoric. I got obsessed with my body in general, not in a gendered sort of way, like, oh, I hate my breasts, oh, I hate, like, how feminine these things are, like, whatever. I went through this phase where I was just obsessed with, like, losing weight and going to the gym and going running a lot and going swimming a lot and counting calories and, like, not eating anything. And I consumed myself with feelings about my body that were not in a gendered way, but it was very clearly related to my gender dysphoria, looking back on it now. So for me, that was also a coping mechanism. Number 8 is the substantial resolution with transitioning, whatever that means for anyone, because transitioning is not just taking hormones, having surgery or whatever. Although those are things that I plan for myself, that's not what transitioning means. Transitioning is whatever someone wants it to be. Transitioning can be taking on new pronouns and a name. And that, for me, has relieved tons of dysphoria, because just telling people about it even and seeing them try to understand me and see me for the way that I see myself makes a huge difference, because you feel like you're not alone anymore. And I still get little tingles every time someone uses like he, his, and uses the name Holden, which it feels a little silly because it's like I've been using it for a while now, but it's also like really nice. So keep doing that. But yeah, so transitioning, telling other people, coming out to other people can really relieve a lot of your dysphoria because you are not alone anymore and are doing the things that make you feel right in your own body. A major step for me in coming out and relieving my dysphoria was making the decision that I wanted hormones, which is a really, really big one for me. And once I made the decision, once I even saw it as a possibility, that hope, just that simple hope, relieved so much of my dysphoria. I felt lighter. I felt like I could leave the house. I felt like even though binding was a sort of a struggle, it wasn't as big of a struggle as it had been before. Just having hope is a major relief on someone's dysphoria. Another thing that I want to talk about is how you as an ally can help your trans friend with their dysphoria. A lot of it you can't do anything about because it's their dysphoria that they have to deal with and come to terms with. But there are so many things you can do. For example, just taking the time to use the right pronouns and the right name. Those are just essential. So just put a little extra effort into it because it makes a huge difference. And it just takes a couple more seconds of thought. Yeah, you're going to slip up. Everybody slips up. I've slipped up even with myself and other people. And you just take a second, say like, oh, sorry, I meant this, and just move on. Don't make a big deal out of it. Just fix it, say you're sorry. If you're with a trans friend and you're out, if you're like at a bar or you're at a party or something like that, and you have to introduce yourself, that can be really scary for a trans person because you can't introduce yourself with pronouns exactly. You can be like, hi, my name is Holden, I'm trans and I use male pronouns, but it doesn't really happen outside of queer circles. It doesn't always happen in queer circles. So if you're with your friend, just be like, hey, this is my friend Holden. He is a barista and he makes these really awesome videos on YouTube. You should check them out. Just saying something like that immediately gives them the pronoun. It gives the stranger who we don't know a pronoun. So then if they decide not to use it, it's their fault and they can be the ass. But most people just won't know otherwise. Another thing that you can do to help is by just like asking how your friend is. Something really simple, which you do with friends in general, but maybe take the time to ask like, hey, how's hormone therapy? How are you feeling about trans stuff? How is transitioning? Anything like that. Even though I feel like I think about it all the time, I don't actually get to talk about it all of the time unless someone asks. And so it's nice to have someone interested. And it's also nice to be able to answer questions. So when other people ask me respectful questions, it makes me feel good because I get to process my own feelings and I get to help educate them. Not all trans people are like this. I'm only speaking for myself. But those can be things that are really helpful. Also, just sticking up for your trans friend, maybe going with them to the bathroom. It's a really big one because dysphoria over bathrooms is it is something every trans person has to deal with because you just go to the bathroom and if it's male and female bathrooms, what do you do? If you go in one, you might get beat up. If you go in the other, you might get beat up. It's nice to go to the bathroom with someone. Even if you personally don't have to go to the bathroom and you see that your trans friend needs to go to the bathroom, just go with them. I had a guy friend gonna go to the bathroom. We were just out at a bar or whatever and went with him to the bathroom and it made me feel like a million times safer. And I don't go into male bathrooms super often yet, but occasionally I go because I just switch it up because it's just a place to pee. Yeah, I think this video is long enough. But I really hope it was helpful. If you have any questions, please add them in the comments or email me. I would really appreciate your feedback or any questions that I can answer about dysphoria or about anything. All right. Have a wonderful day and go be beautiful, wonderful people.